Like even people that are earning 7 figures a year will have their own business mentors. Just because you think you're at the top, you're not necessarily at the top. Even the top have got mentors. So surrounding yourself with people that understand what you're trying to achieve and are even in the industry that you are really helps to kind of push you on. It can be a lonely place if you're all by yourself. So having those people around you that understand what you're trying to achieve can be really, really helpful. And if you don't have those people around you, then making sure you have a place to go where you can clear your head and kind of like step away from what you're currently doing, whether that's going for a walk or whether that's going to the gym or whether it's like gaming. I
attended my first event like this year, and for me, like, because going from an event in like a traditional workplace, like you turn up, you do your 9 to 5 work networking. You're like, "Ugh, nobody really wants to be here." But then to step into one like from change, like the workshop events in particular, my God, it was like completely different. There was so much passion. Like just see people there with their products, like this is my business. Whereas before, and if traditional people would be like, "Oh, this is my business. This is what we do. Can we help each other out?" But like, if for change, it's like, this is my business. This is what I'm doing. Oh, you're doing that. Oh, maybe we can work together. Oh, have you got any ideas for me?
Yeah.
It's completely different. And like it must be a shock it was for me anyway, to step out of that normal traditional networking. Oh, we're all in a prison of this 9 to 5 to, oh, there's such a world out here. We can just like, we can work together towards, it must be daunting for some people. I know it's a bit of a shock for me, but, yeah, it was so good to see all those people.
So when you're in a 9 to 5, you presume it's a normal thing, whether you like it or not. But then when you start looking at other ways to improve your financial situation, gain more, financial freedom, you start realizing that there is a lot of people out there that are on the same journey, that have achieved that journey. So when you start hanging out with them, your ambitions change, your mindset will change. And then you start looking at your 9 to 5, like, this isn't for me. And I think the more you look at your circle of friends, you start to realize sort of like, for me, you sort of put them into groups. So you'll have like people that are where you want to be. So you obviously look up to them. You'll see, what they're doing, how they've done it on their journey, where you are at the moment, the people that are in your position, obviously trying to get to that next goal. You'll be hanging around with them because you're in that same scenario as them. But then when you look back at maybe the people you used to work with, you don't really want to associate yourself with that, because that is now taking a step back where your mindset shift is to go forward. So guys, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. So I think a topic that is going to be good for the viewers to listen in on is talking about individual journeys and how some people can feel lonely. Some people obviously in current situations or comfort zones might feel trapped and they feel like, there's no way out. So this podcast will be good to sort of give people a bit of inspiration and guidance in those sort of scenarios, because everybody's journey is going to be different, especially when you're first starting out. Like, not everybody is going to be in a good environment. You've got obviously the people that you surround yourself with, and I know all of our journeys right at the beginning are probably completely different to each other. I know the people that I surrounded myself with, 99 out of 100 were negative. So it'd be good to sort of run over this topic, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think I guess it can be a very difficult place. Yeah, it's if you're venturing into the e-commerce world and all of those people that you are currently in your circle of friends all think it's a bit of a scam, then that negativity comes from there. You don't feel like you're getting support that you need in order to really push yourself through the business. I guess that's where like mentors come in. Like even people that are earning 7 figures a year will have their own business mentors. Just because you think you're at the top, you're not necessarily at the top. Even the top have got mentors. So surrounding yourself with people that understand what you're trying to achieve and are even in the industry that you are really helps to kind of push you on. It can be a lonely place if you're all by yourself. So having those people around you that understand what you're trying to achieve can be really, really helpful. And if you don't have those people around you, then making sure you have a place to go where you can clear your head and kind of like step away from what you're currently doing, whether that's going for a walk or whether that's going to the gym or whether it's like gaming, so where you can interact with other people, or even if you don't want to interact with other people, you just want that quiet space because that's where you feel most at peace. I think it's really good to work that type of stuff into your routine or into your weekly plan.
I think as well, it's like identifying where your current situation is, the people who you're surrounding yourself with. What is it that you want to change? Like when you're around these people, what are you doing? And if it's not benefiting you in where you need to go, then first things first, you need to change that. So for example, if that is going out drinking every night after you finish work, okay, well, first things first, you need to change that and stop being in that environment. And naturally, like you said, you will then fill that with something else, whether that's going to the gym. Then you're going to be surrounded with people that are all going to the gym. And it might be that then leads you on just to a mindset shift that we all know naturally you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy after work instead of drinking or doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then that then gives you the energy to then be like, okay, well, where do I now want to take this? So I think it's first identifying who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. What do you want to change? How are you going to change it? And then taking action on how you can find these people. And I think like what we said, it is really daunting. I think like I always think like when you're an adult, like these things just don't faze you. Like you just step in a room and you'll feel really confident. I think it does come with time as you do push yourself out of your comfort zones to just naturally, be around new people, get to know them, see what they can bring to you. But I think you have to be open with wanting to do that and keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open for those opportunities. Because it might be at the gym, you speak to someone and they're like doing their own business, and then you can just say, oh, I'd be really interested in that. Can you help me? That then leads on to something else. But I think you have to have the intention that you need change to happen in your life. And then once you identify that, you start looking for the opportunities, they'll naturally come, which is what I've found with my journey. Sure. But you have to have that intention.
You've got to be open to like improving yourself. If you're somebody that's not too bothered, you're most probably going to try something and fail it. I think if you're somebody that actually wants to like make a change in your life for the better, then like the first thing, and like you won't really notice this, but it is generally the people you surround yourself with. If you're with a group of friends all the time that always want to just go out, go to the pub, or sit in Weatherspoons or something like that, like you're probably going to be there as well with them. But then if you start realizing that valuable time that you're wasting generally doing nothing, you are going to be able to implement that, like what you're saying, like into the gym. So you're now focused on something else. And obviously we're not in this podcast, we're not saying to forget your friends or anything like that. Obviously still, be their friends and things. But when you start to do things that are going to level yourself up, you're going to start surrounding yourself with that type of people. Then bit by bit, you'll start, hanging out with them more because they're on the mindset shift of they want to level up, they want to improve themselves. And it's the same with like in the business scenario, like when you go to a 9 to 5, the majority of people in your job will probably moan about it. But
I was literally going to say moaning.
Yeah, they're comfortable. So like, pretty much the entire world, does a 9 to 5. It's a normal thing, or it's classed as a normal thing. So when you're in a 9 to 5, you presume it's a normal thing, whether you like it or not. But then when you start looking at other ways to improve your financial situation, gain more, financial freedom, you start realizing that there is a lot of people out there that are on the same journey, that have achieved that journey. So when you start hanging out with them, your ambitions change, your mindset will change. And then you start looking at your 9 to 5, like, this isn't for me. And I think the more you look at your circle of friends, you start to realize sort of like, for me, you sort of put them into groups. So you'll have like people that are where you want to be. So you obviously look up to them. You'll see, what they're doing, how they've done it on their journey, where you are at the moment, the people that are in your position, obviously trying to get to that next goal. you'll be hanging around with them because you're in that same scenario as them. But then when you look back at maybe the people you used to work with, you don't really want to associate yourself with that, because that is now taking a step back where your mindset shift is to go forward. And I think a lot of people might not realize that. And when you're on that journey of in that comfort zone, the traditional way and stuff like that, when you start to make that leap to go to that next level, that's the gap where I think a lot of people might feel lonely, they might feel lost or misled. And that's the
transition.
part.
It's that transition period. You've got to cut the ties in the first place to start making that change. It's the same stuff like when you go to the gym and start eating healthy. When you stop,
when you go in the gym and you're like, I don't want to be. I've done it before. I've walked in the gym and walked out because I don't want to be there. But like, I still went back in the next day. But
the transition phase is the hardest. Like you stop eating sugar. For a few days after just like cutting the sugar, you got headaches and you're lethargic, and it's just the transition period. That's where discipline really comes into it. You know?
And that's where, like, when you're once again in that scenario, when your friends are like, "Oh, come to the pub," you need to say no, because if you say yes, what's going to happen the next day when they ask you? You're going to say yes, and you're not getting anywhere. So it's like it's difficult, but if you can force discipline, you'll create it, and it'll be natural to you over time.
I think, like what you said, I think to begin with, when you make these changes, it is so lonely because you feel you're on your own, because you're distancing yourself from things that are normal to you, that's in your daily schedule. And then you have to fill that with something else. Whether it is you're with a group of people and you're just moaning about your 9 to 5, you're moaning about everything that's going on in your life.
World.
And then you make that decision, okay, I'm not going to moan anymore. Okay, well, what am I going to talk about now? Because literally that's what I fill my life with.
Yeah.
So it's lonely because you now don't have anything to say to anyone. But I think we've got the web. Like once you start Googling these things, I found as well, just like YouTube videos of people that have been through these situations and how they found like a network of people to be around. And it might be, whatever area it's in, fitness, business, there's networking events that you can go to.
Yeah.
Again, it can be really, really daunting going on your own. But I've been to things where I've met someone, some of them I may not have met anyone, and I was like, okay, it was all right. And then another one I've been to, and I'm like, I was sat next to someone that I just clicked with. We've spoke about things. They've now introduced me to someone else, and I've now booked in a meeting with them that's brought me onto this. So it is just like having that open mind, and like what we always talk about, just not having like fear about it, just getting outside your comfort zone,
get out there,
doing it.
And this is what all of you guys might have seen this at the events. Like I always get a few messages like literally hours before the event starts, and it's like I've had a few people that will message like, "Oh, I'm really nervous that I come in," and I feel like they're on the verge of saying, "Oh, I'm going to go home. I'm not going to do it," and stuff. And I'm like, honestly, just turn up. Like we'll have a chat and things like that. They turn up to the event. I don't see them till halfway through. They're chatting to everyone, and it's like, "Oh, there you are. You did come." Like, it's insane. So I think like it's just getting yourself, like pushing yourself into a scenario.
Oh, 100%.
I think is one of the hardest parts.
I mean, I attended my first event like this year, and for me, like, because going from an event in like a traditional workplace, like you turn up, you do your 9 to 5 work networking, you're like, nobody really wants to be here. But then to step into one like from change, like the workshop events in particular, my God, it was like completely different. There was so much passion. Like just see people there with their products, like this is my business. Whereas before, and if traditional, people would be like, "Oh, this is my business. This is what we do. Can we help each other out?" But like, if for change, it's like, "This is my business. This is what I'm doing. Oh, you're doing that. Oh, maybe we can work together. Oh, have you got any ideas for me?" It's completely different. And like it must be a shock if it was for me anyway, to step out of that normal traditional networking. Oh, we're all in a prison of this 9 to 5. Oh, there's such a world out here. We can just we can work together towards. It must be daunting for some people. I know it's a bit of a shock for me. But it was so good to see all those people.
And I mean, ultimately, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
If it's not that great, okay, you can always go back to the moaning and whatever. If you want to, what's the worst that's going to happen? You might feel a little bit stupid, but at the end of the day, we're all human. Like we all feel these things, whether I just think some people are better at like being more confident, but inside I think we do all still feel the same.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, you know, like what we always say, what's the alternative? Stay where you are or have that dream of, you know, turning it into a reality.
It's that regret as well. Like imagine, like say if an opportunity came across to every one of us, say we're all 9 to 5s, opportunity comes across us, we look at that and we're like, oh, I'll leave that. And then imagine like you go through your life working at 9 to 5, like you're always gonna have that regret of, you know, what could have came with that if I took that opportunity.
I'm going a bit off topic here, but there's some of those stories as well. There was someone on Dragon's Den. I don't want to say the specific story because I might have it wrong, but basically it was a company that's now a multi-million-pound company.
It's Ring.
No.
Ring Door, when they took it to Shark Tank.
No.
And they said no, and then he came back as the shark after he sold it elsewhere. Or
no,
it's a different one.
It's something else. But anyway, they were building, I don't want to say the story because I might have it wrong, but it's something along these lines. And it's now like a multi-million-pound business. But he went on to Dragon's Den because he started something else himself. And they were like, oh, what is your story? And when he was building this other business, he literally just didn't have the guts to like invest his money, leave his 9 to 5. And now he's starting it all again on his own because he's now seen this business like absolutely smashing it. Now if he would have just stuck with it and took the opportunity and didn't have that fear that it could go wrong, he would have been where he wanted to be like then. But now he's starting over. But obviously these things happen.
It's like when they say like the worst thing that can happen is that you get told no.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask in the first place, it's a straight no. It can never be a yes.
Yeah.
Crazy. I remember there was one point when me and Ryan first started in e-commerce, we didn't get any results for like over a year. And we were constantly investing money. And at the time we hated our 9 to 5. We're both chefs, hated it. And it got to a point for me, it was there was a no contingency plan. It was like, I'm going for this until it works. Like I don't want to be a chef. And got to a point where obviously we weren't making money for a long time. And Ryan said to me, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. And he was on like, he literally made his mind up of just quitting. That was it. And then I literally said to him, like, I was like, I'm not going to beg him to keep doing it. If you really don't want to, then that's down to him. Literally said to him, I was like, if you quit doing this, just think where you're going to be for the rest of your life. And then I left the room and probably 10, 15 minutes later, came in, different mindset. It's like, right, come on, what we got to do and stuff like that. But he realized like, if he skipped that opportunity, it hasn't worked yet, but like he doesn't know if it is going to work. And I think that is one of the worst things you can have. If you try something, not give it everything or not give it the time. Do you like, if you pull the plug, you're back to where you are. What do you do there? Do you stay there? And there is a saying, if you quit something, it makes the next time a lot easier to quit. Quit stuff so much easier.
But that goes back to what you were saying earlier about who you surround yourself with. Like if you're surrounding yourself with people that are like, we won't quit till we win, then inevitably that's your path, isn't it? Like if you're surrounded by that, you're like, well, if I quit, then I'm not really part of this group anymore, really, am I? I've got to leave. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that are like, oh, I'm gonna make this work, and this is what I'm gonna do, then inevitably you're going to be the one that's doing it as well. Like you all level up together, don't you? You all have those ideas.
And I think just being in business or whatever you're trying to achieve in your life, you have to be aware of what we're talking about because it is so easy for people to slip into your life, whether that's personal relationships or whatever. And then that one person can totally like drain you and bring your mindset down. So I think if you're trying to achieve something big, you have to have this in the forefront of your mind. Like, is this person good for me?
And you've got to stay true to the course. And if you're getting into this relationship, you'd be like, listen, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. You either get on board or you go
out the door.
That's it. Because this is where we're going. I'm not going to have you holding it back.
But
it's like they say, surround yourself with 5 winners and you'll be the 6th. But that's not just a saying like that. It's proven in studies when they've done studies in workplace where they take sort of mediocre or average performing employees, sit them with the top performer, and you notice that their productivity increases and their their success levels increases by like 15%.
Wow.
And then they do it the other way and they put them with the lowest performing, and their productivity and success rate dropped by like 35 to 40%. It was a massive drop.
That's crazy,
But that's
isn't
because,
it?
you like when you surround yourself with people that are winning and people that want more, you naturally start, your habits form, you start to form the same habits. Your mindset starts to adjust in the same way because you want the same thing. The loneliness bit is where it can be difficult. Is like you surround yourself with all these people, but with an e-commerce journey, for example, sometimes it can be just you and your laptop. And for a lot of people, that's heaven. They want that isolation. But for some people, it's not that
But
easy.
I think ultimately with everything you want to do, you could have an amazing team around you, you know, people doing this, people doing that. But like what we say with every business journey or the success of anyone or their business, it comes down to you.
Yeah.
So just that naturally, it can feel lonely, or you can feel like you've got everything on your shoulders, whether that is managing other people. But I think also, again, just being realistic, like, you know, take a day to feel lonely, take a day to feel sorry for yourself, and then just snap out of it. Like, you don't want to stay there.
But then also, it's not like you're not going to feel lonely forever. It's the period of building what you want, your empire.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I would much rather be lonely for a year, even 2 years, even 2 years or more, to then be able to have all the time in my world to never be lonely again.
I think for different people that it can the
Sounds
amount
like
of
hell.
time. It can be like, and then you say like you're more than happy to, like I said before, the idea of just you and a laptop and being isolated is amazing, but for some people it's not. And I think it's important with for those that it's not, that you get really good at time management. And planning stuff planning to take time off, not necessarily take time off to go and wallow in self-pity, but
Down the
just going to go high and do it.
but takes time off to do something fun.
Indulge yourself a little bit.
Do something that makes you feel happy. You know, whether that's gaming or whether it's go to a fun fair or whether it is go out with your mates from time to time for a few drinks, not go out and get absolutely hammered and off your face, because then you lose three nights in a row, because then you lose the best part of 3 days afterwards. Your productivity, and then you regret it. Because you'll go and have this heavy night out. You'll get out the next day, feel like shit, want to just lie on the sofa and do absolutely sod all. And then the next day you wake up and then you come back to regret. And you regret going out and getting hammered because you've now just lost a day's worth of productivity.
But I think if that does happen to you, like, don't just, I've done this, I'm just full of regret now. You've learned. There's always a learning process, right? Like you can, I've lost this amount of time because I've indulged myself too much. How can I change myself? Or who's doing around me that's not doing this? How are they doing it? How are they achieving it? So what do I need to change in myself that I can have my time, but this still be productive when I need to be and still turn up when I need to be. So I think there's always a learning process to that. Like indulge yourself when you can. You can always get better.
I think one thing that helped me early on was like, I love playing Xbox. Like you would have caught me if I had a day off work, 10 hours straight. Just in my bedroom, no sun, windows shut. But I think one thing that helped me, I got rid of my Xbox when I started e-coms. I knew I would have been easily like persuaded just by myself. So got rid of that. And what I found to feel like that void, and obviously when I was playing Xbox, I was speaking to my friends, everything like that. So I lost that part, which was like, it was a lot to me. Do you know what I mean? So when I lost that, I replaced that with tuning into webinars and stuff online where I'm still, you know, with people online, but getting value rather than just getting killed on Call of Duty. So I replaced it with that. But I think like the main thing for people to take away from this podcast is you have to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. That is it. Like if you're in a position right now in your journey, whether it's business or personal, anything what you're doing, if you're feeling lonely, it's not going to be like that forever. You're in the stage of building something. You've got options and solutions to that. Like if you're flat out and if you're trying to commit yourself 7 days a week, drop that down to 6. Have one day midweek or on the weekends where you go out, you walk the dogs, you go see your family, just anything to get that social stuff back.
Definitely.
If you're someone that once again doesn't have that, either buy yourself a dog and you know do that, or just sort of like find a community online And this is what I love about what we have at Change. We have a massive community. There's like every day there's workshops, masterminds, webinars. You can communicate with people.
Yeah.
You can jump on Zooms with all of us. So it's like you have that option there. But remember, it's for the short term. You're not going to be in that position forever. You're in the phase of building your empire.
Yeah.
Get it built and then do whatever you want beyond that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a good podcast,
Yeah,
guys. Really
that's
good.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.